Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pink Table Talk. I am your host, Loria Reed, and we are back with brand new episodes for 2021. How y'all doing? It's so good to see you. Hope that you're having a great new year so far. And we are going to continue on with that theme. 2021 is a new year, of course, and we always say new year, new me. Well, this time we're going to say new year, same you, but you can continue on being who you are and accomplishing those goals. So go ahead on, you know the routine. Go on and begin sharing this, liking this. This is for us ladies, by us ladies, and we've got an excellent guest on today that I know you're going to enjoy. So please go ahead on, text your girlfriends, let them know that the Pink Table Talk is back. Look, I'm getting tongue tied. Pink Table Talk is back, and we've got a great episode for you. So let me introduce our guest, y'all. She is an entrepreneur, a Bible teacher, instructor, minister. I mean, mother, wife, everything you can think of. She's all those things. She is a former corporate executive. She's an executive leadership coach and equips men and women into finding their path into living life beyond good. She's a great, what we would call a life coach, but I don't want to just minimize her to that. But she does do that as well. And she's going to give us some skills today. So would you all please welcome DeShannon Dixon. DeShannon.
Hey, Loria.
Hey, lady. We're so glad to have you on the Pink Table Talk. How you doing today?
Man, I'm honored to be here hanging out with you.
I'm glad that you are. She is not a stranger to the House of Hope family. She's a member at the House of Hope, and she was our speaker last year for our Women's Day. So this is the same woman for some of you who are like, she looks familiar, but that's who DeShannon is. And we're so glad to have her. So my question, I want to get started because I got a whole bunch of questions to ask you in a short amount of time. But my question to ask you, I know a lot of us as women, we have vision boards. We talk with our girlfriends and we're like, hey, I want to get started. I want to do this. I want to start my own business. I want to do these things. But by the end of the year, sometimes we kind of lose track. Well, I won't even say the end of the year, by the middle of the year, we kind of start losing focus. So what are some ways that we can stay on track with our goals? I know it's consistency and all that, but is there like some kind of formula that we're missing? Because by March, I'm like off the beaten path. So how do we stay the course?
Well, a lot of times we're really just being on the bandwagon. We're only doing
Mm,
vision boards because our girlfriends are, or that's the new buzzword. So the first thing I tell women to do, get somewhere by yourself and define
mm,
whatever success means to you so that you're not
yeah.
looking at someone else's board and say, oh, okay, I want a new car too. Or looking at
Right.
somebody else's board and say, oh, I want a new body too. Or I'm going to go back to school. Or what do you want? And when you're able to
Mm.
define success for yourself, you'll stay the course.
That makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it. So you're going back to purpose, knowing what you want to do and what you're called to do. And so with saying that, let's go to you. Now I want you to talk about your journey because you kind of mentioned it to me before, but just how you got to where you are. I think that would inspire some ladies as well. Just going back to you working for corporate and then deciding to step out into entrepreneurship. So could you just kind of give us a path of how you got started?
Well, I started back in healthcare like everybody else. You graduate, you try to get a job, and I started working at a local hospital, and I literally started at the front desk. So I went from the front desk to
Mm.
behind the CEO desk, but I made millions of dollars for other people, and I wanted to take that same skill set and make some money for myself. See, whatever you're called to do, you can do naturally. You don't have to have
Mhm,
anything what you already have inside of you. So people were
mhm.
already calling for advice. People were already calling me to see, help them with their offices. And I turned what I do naturally into entrepreneurship. I get paid to talk. I love to talk. I started talking very early. And so that's what I will encourage people. The first thing I ask them, what do you like to do?
Mm. Wow, wow. So with saying that, did you have a goal? Did you do a vision board? Or did you just say, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going after it? Like, can you give us some practical steps on how to if someone's in the position of you and they want to start their own, is it like a couple of items you do every month? Is it something you do every day? How do you do that?
Now you have to be realistic, and we'll talk about feelings
Mhm.
versus fact. I hope we get into that in a little bit.
Yes,
But everybody wants to do something on their own, or they desire to be an entrepreneur. But that is hard work. So
it
let's
is.
not let people understand that, oh, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to be making $100,000 in a day. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. Are you ready for that? See, somebody has to get out of the glitz and glam and the glitter of it and tell you the good and the bad. I'm not saying you can't
Hmm.
do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. But you have to be realistic with yourself. A lot of
That's
times
right.
it looks easy when you see somebody else doing it. But what does that look like for you and your household? Can you afford mentally, physically, financially to do some of the things that you're wanting to do? And a lot of times, again, it goes back to following what everybody else is doing. We have something called learned behavior. We want to do what somebody else is doing, no matter if it's in church, no matter if it's at work. You know, we always want to do what we see someone else doing. But let's
Right.
get back to why you want to do that.
That's
Does
so
that make
true.
sense to do that? And so for
Mm,
me, when I started doing it, I quit corporate America simply because I was an amazing CEO, but I wasn't a good mom because I was working
mm,
50, 60 hours a week. I was making sure they had their stuff together, but I had a housekeeper, a nanny. I had everything to take care of what I couldn't at home because I was so busy wanting to be the first, the best. And I was good at what I did and still good. But then I had to
mhm.
realize, who am I? Am I trying to
Right.
get another plaque on the board so it'll look good on my resume?
Mm,
Am I up in a pulpit preaching, but then my kids don't see me all week? You know, will they talk junk to me when I get home and say, well, we wish you was as nice as you was at church? That, I
right.
wanted to make sure that I was actually living for me. And that's
Wow.
something we have a hard time deciding, who are we doing this stuff for? You know, Loria, as when we get out of school, they say six figures is the goal. But is it?
Hmm.
When I started making six figures, I had no more money than I did when I was making 50,000 because my
Right.
bills got bigger.
Yeah,
So
you
I
got
still
more
was
expenses.
living the same way. Yes. And so
Hmm.
those kinds of things, that was success defined by somebody else. But I had to
Mm.
really pull that back and say, but what do I like? What do I like to do? And as women, we're pleasers. We make
Yes,
sure everybody else good, but then it's up to us and we're the last ones to get taken care of.
that's
So
so true.
really, I want you to define success, whatever that means. It might not mean, at 30, you already married, two and a half kids with your house and two cars. It might mean that looks like that at 40, might look like that at
Right.
50. What does
Hmm.
that mean to you?
Wow. Look, I'm getting so caught up in what you're saying. I'm forgetting I'm on the pink table talk. I'm like, that's right. Really? Because I think now in our world with social media, we're able to see all the people that we like. We see them on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else. So it's kind of like, okay, I want to be like them. But is that the path that God has for us? So, could you go into a little more about I know we talked about vision, having a vision for yourself, and some women know what they're supposed to be doing, what it looks like for them, and some don't. So, how do you find your purpose, or what area is good for you? And for those who know their purpose, when did you know it was time for you to go from where you were?
Well, first, let me address the social media thing.
Okay.
And I talked a little bit about that. There's something that I really want people to understand: feelings versus fact. We might
Hmm.
feel a certain way about a certain thing. Your feelings will change, but the facts remain the same. So anytime you're looking at something, is this a feeling or is this a fact? That will separate a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. But when we're talking about knowing your purpose, And see, some things I'm just good at, and some things I
Uh-huh.
love to do. That's a
Right.
difference. You know,
That's
we
the difference.
call them, gifts versus talents. You know,
Right,
I can
right.
do a lot of things and I can do them well, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
passionate about them. I can just do them
Right.
well. So
Mm-hmm.
when people don't know, well, I want to do something, but I don't know what it is or what am I called to do? Well, for one, that is because you see somebody else already operating in their gift. You're looking at them instead of looking inside you. Your gift may not mature right now. Some people
Mm-hmm.
know what they're going to do from birth. My brother started playing the piano at 4 years old. He can play any
Wow.
instrument. His gift
Mm.
developed very, very early.
Right.
So I can't, if you're an aspiring musician, you might need lessons.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look at him and say, well, why didn't it happen like that for me? And this is the problem that we have with learned behavior because we're not okay with being later than someone else. We think
Yeah.
everything's supposed to go at the same time. And my career's supposed to bloom when yours did. And you got a
Right.
job right out of college, but I had to wait tables a couple of years. And I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, your journey is yours. It is
Yeah.
uniquely yours. You cannot look to the left or the right when you're talking about your journey. And it's only when you start looking around you get off course.
Yeah.
Mine not going to look like yours. So when I counsel people or I coach people, I can't have a cookie cutter curriculum for them because
Yeah.
what worked for Susie will not work for Jane because they're
That's
totally
right.
two different people. And so
Yeah.
wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. And if you get
Mm.
okay with being okay with yourself, your life will immediately change. And so I caution people not to get into the year cliches. We have this thing, change your thoughts, change your life. Well, that's step one. Thinking is step one, but no one ever changed by thinking. Our word tells
Mm.
us faith comes by hearing. What is faith? The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith comes by hearing. So just thinking about it will not change it. You have to actually speak it so that you now
Yeah.
can hear it, which changes. So when we tell people to, oh, change your thoughts, it's a mind shift, a mindset thing. That's not giving them the whole story. So when you begin
Right.
to say it, that's when you begin to hear it and change the way you think about it. It's like this. Why do liars believe themselves? Because they say it all the time.
Right.
Uh-huh. So
Makes
when you
sense.
begin to say that thing that's not yet come to pass, your mind will
Mm-hmm.
think differently about it and you will now begin to work towards it. So when people are falling into depression, it's because they're not speaking anymore. They're not answering their phone. They're not talking. They're not doing anything. Speaking what gives us life. Speaking actually changes the way you think about that. So if you want to be, whatever it is, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, we'll start saying that.
That
You
makes
have
so
to
much
say it.
sense.
You can't just sit around like, thinking never changed anything. Speaking always does.
Wow, wow, wow. That makes plenty of sense. So, who were some people that, or what, let me ask this, what advice would you give to someone? And I'm going back to my question again, that is on the fence, kind of like you, and they have the skill set to come out on their own. But I know the Bible talks about counting the cost, and you even talked about that as well. Just because you become an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you're just going to live this fabulous life. Like you said, if you don't work, you don't eat. And it's a different lifestyle than just working for someone. So, what steps could a person make, a woman make in that direction if that's what she's kind of on the fence about?
Well, you've got to get to a point where this is almost do or die. Like, are you just messing
Mm,
around with it on the weekends, or this something you gonna do? Because if you're just messing around with it, you'll always think that I can do something else. there will be a time when you have to jump off that cliff and say, I'm
That's
just going to
true.
do it. I'm just going to do it. And then again, like I said, I always affirm, hey, send me the right people to talk to. Send me the
Mm-hmm.
right client. You've got to figure out what it is you actually want. But if you have the skill set, hey, start doing it part time at first.
Yeah.
Because, see, I'm only one person, so I do referrals only because I can't
Mhm.
open it up to the world and I'm only one person. So I can't take on but two clients a month. So I know that because that's all the capacity I have. So you have to
Mhm.
decide, what do you really want to do? Yes, you have the skills. Yes, everybody says you're great, but you got to realize the people that saying you great probably won't even be your clients.
Wow, I can believe that.
So a prophet is without honor in his own family and
That is so
friends.
true. That is so true.
So you've got to now start understanding what marketing yourself is, what branding
Mhm.
yourself is. The Shannon Speaks will actually turn 7 this year. So I've been doing it for a little while, and last year is when I made the most money. And so it didn't
Mhm.
happen overnight, but I stayed consistent with it because I know that I'm good. See, people want to
Right.
say, oh, don't say that. Well, I have to have confidence in my own ability. That's not conceit. I put the work in. I have a program
Mhm.
that works. I have people testifying that it works. My testimonials are in place. I know that I have a good program that I can gather you together and get yourself turned around in the right direction.
Mhm.
But everybody's not my client because I'm not the warm and fuzzy, hug you, want you crying girl. No, I'm not that coach. I'm like, okay, so call me back when you finish crying because now we have to put a plan in place. That doesn't work for everybody. And so you've
Right.
got to really sit down and understand what it is that you want. But just do it. Take on a client. There's somebody calling you right now, asking you for your advice, or your friend, or whoever we're talking about, that you giving away advice for free.
Mm. And could be getting paid.
Could be getting paid for what you doing
Could be getting paid.
already right now. I mean, it's no different than if you love playing in makeup, and you want to be a makeup
Mhm.
artist.
Right.
Hey, well, whose makeup have you done? Can we
Right.
see some samples? Or are you still just thinking about it without any
Yes.
action behind it? So when is it going to get out of your head onto some paper? Because you need to go on and get your LLC or whatever it is you're doing. And we need to see some evidence that you are actually capable of doing something. And that's the
Wow.
part that people struggle with. I can do it. Well, says who? Of course, you think you great, but can somebody else testify to that?
That's right. And my next question with you, and you were just talking about your clients, and I know that sometimes you put a plan in place and some may not follow through with that plan. From from where you are in your vantage point, what separates those who do the plan and who have goals and get them done from those who don't? What is it, a mindset thing? Is it a what separates us?
Well, typically we go through with what we pay for. And so
Mm,
now if I got to pay you, I may go ahead and go through it. But some of my people that pay, they like, well, this isn't for me. And the real people are comfortable where they are. They really want you to co-sign on their life as is. So it's
yeah.
difficult to change areas that we're struggling with. That part's not easy. And we don't want to do the hard thing. We want to do what's easy. And so it's good is while I'm telling you, oh, Laria, girl, you got it together. So you happy with those steps. Well, let's do this. Let's
Mhm.
get your business plan. Let's figure out how much money it's going to take. Let's get a marketing plan. Let's order you some business cards. Let's get your website. All of that stuff is fun. But now let's deal with the things of you that I see that's not good. Let's talk
Okay.
about those things. And that's where you get resistance because all of us are improving. We are learning every single day. I actually have an executive coach because people have to gather
Wow.
me together. I've had
Hmm.
one for a very long time, somebody that literally holds me accountable and said, now, DeShannon, you know you wrong. You know that is not going to work. You push that girl too hard. You doing that because we all need someone that we can go
Wow.
to. And that doesn't take the place of meditating and prayer and all of that. Don't get me started with that. But what I'm saying is somebody has to be able to check you in your life
That's
so that
true.
you don't get out of hand and you don't begin to think that you're bigger than you are. So I have
Hmm.
one of those people, and she's a certified life coach, a life and wellness coach, and she gathers me right often.
Wow. I love it. So, what piece of advice would you give to our ladies today who have some goals? It's 2021. And like we've been saying, it's a new year, but it's still you. And what I heard you say throughout the whole time that you've been talking is to know you and to know what you want to do. So, what advice would you give to a woman who's watching, who's setting some goals? She may have a life coach, she may not. But what would you tell her to do to follow through for this year?
But what I want you to do is get somewhere by yourself. We have trouble sometimes going to dinner by ourselves. Now, I know it's
Mhm.
COVID, but, or going to the
Right.
movies by ourselves, or going to the park by ourselves, or, just taking a bath and telling your family, that you're on strike for the next hour. Don't call my name, don't talk to me, I'm not watching television, and see what it is that makes you smile. When was the
Mhm.
last time you just, man, that was good? Because those are moments that you'll start saying, I like to do this, I like to do that, I like whatever that is, and let that be your goal. Maybe your goal isn't over a year, maybe it's just today. I'm going to get dressed today. I'm going to do my hair today. I'm going to put some makeup on today. I'm going to go to the mailbox today. Let that be a
Mhm.
goal. I'm going to lose 3 pounds instead of 5. I'm going to
Mhm.
start my diet. Start every day. Let every day be a goal. It doesn't have to be a year, 2 years, 3 years, but this journey is uniquely yours, and you are equipped right now, today, to finish it and finish it well. But nothing you've done is going to hinder you from going forward. Everything you've done in your life, everything that's happened to you, uniquely qualified you for this day, and you can do it. You just have to say you can so your mind can hear you can and you can think differently about your day.
Yeah. Wow. Look, I'm slow clapping. That was good. If you didn't feel like you could do it after listening to that, I don't know what else to tell you. But how can we get in touch with you? I know you have a website and you got your own to follow her on social media. So just give us your handle and your website.
Okay, so my website is deshannonspeaks.org. And on social media, it's at Deshannon Speaks. And again, we turned 7 this year, so I probably need to do something pretty big.
Mhm.
And just reach out, because talking to me for a few minutes is not going to cost you anything. I am a life coach, I'm a career coach as well. So I help people move from point A to point B in their career, and I'm really pretty successful at it. Because when do you get to sit down and talk to a CEO about how to improve in your job and get that next promotion or how to negotiate your contract? But most people just want somebody to talk to before or to see if they need to have a licensed therapist. And if they do, I send them that way. So I'm like the first stop before anything else.
Very good. Well, you guys, that's the Shannon Dixon. What else can I say? That's her. And we are so privileged to have you on with us today. So, girls, y'all, let's get on top of it. Let's make sure that we make the necessary steps. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. It's all about what you can do for you. That's all this woman kept telling us the whole time. What do you want? What can you get done? How can you get it done? So thank you so much to Shannon for being with us today.
Listen, it's my pleasure. Let me know when I can do it again.
I sure will. And we appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you for joining us on the Pink Table Talk. I'm Maria Reed, your host with the Shannon Dixon. Have an excellent day, and we'll see you the next time.